pronounced Huracan, replaces the 11-year-old Gallardo and is, according to Lamborghini, chock full of something called intuitive technology. What I think this means is that it has loads of clever stuff fizzing away beneath its beautiful new skin, stuff that you, the driver, should feel good about, not intimidated by. So yes, there are zillions of new electronic safety systems in the Huracan to keep you out of the undergrowth and on the straight and narrow, but despite this, it should still feel natural to drive, just like every other Lamborghini. Either way, the really good news is that Lamborghini's most popular car retains a thumping great 5.2 litre naturally aspirated V10 engine, and it deploys the 602 bhp produced by this reworked powerhouse through a brand new Audi-inspired 7-speed dual-clutch gearbox. As ever, the Huracan is four-wheel drive, although it can send as much as 100% of its 413 pounds-feet of torque to the rear axle. There's also a new variable ratio electromechanical steering rack, carbon ceramic brakes as standard, an exquisite interior featuring a brilliant new digital instrument screen, and dampers that are also electronically managed. So then, is the Huracan a natural and fun car to drive, or not?
Well, I've got it in Corsa at the moment, and I'll come to why in a sec, but immediately it feels much more refined than a Gallardo. The steering is, there's just no corruption that comes at you. Even when you run the front tyres over a really quite rough piece of road. And just the whole thing feels more sophisticated and more grown up. And that's very much what Lamborghini have tried to achieve with this car. They want intuitive technology, I think is the way they put it, but they're acutely aware that their key market, their biggest market, is not their traditional market, it's basically China. And without wishing to offend any of my Chinese colleagues, they have, by their own admission, had to kind of engineer a fairly large safety net into the car's dynamics, and that is because it still has 602 horsepower and weighs, well, with fluids it weighs just over 1,500 kilograms. So we are talking about a seriously quick car, one that sounds pretty tasty too. Fantastic brakes, carbon ceramics as standard. Doesn't matter whether you do light stops coming up to, just through town in traffic, or a really big stop on a track or on a quick road like this. The feel through the pedal is absolutely lovely. I love the brakes. This particular car's got the optional variable ratio steering rack in it, which it's, we've had it on BMWs for a long time and various other cars, but never in a Lamborghini. And when you change the various parameters between Strada, which is street, Sport and Corsa, everything else on the car is being monitored and changed as well. So the steering feel changes, the engine mapping changes, the gearbox mapping changes. The exhaust sounds different. You get this fantastic crackle on overrun when you put it in Corsa, although it does sound a little bit manufactured. The four-wheel drive system changes and the ESP system changes. So as you go up through the programs, theoretically the car becomes more aggressive and more kind of performance orientated. It doesn't really matter about any of that though, because what does matter is when you downshift in the new 7-speed dual clutch gearbox, you get a fantastic burst of revs, which means you can go back up again. There is a tiny bit of understeer. In fact, on the track a little bit earlier, unfortunately we didn't film any of it, there was quite a lot of understeer. But look, this is the base version, this is not a This is not a 458 Speciale rival. It's not really a McLaren 650S rival. This is the standard entry-level Huracan, and you cannot expect super sharp Speciale-like responses from it as a result. One other area that they've made huge progress in is the ride quality. Okay, it's a supercar, so you shouldn't really be bothered that much about the ride quality, but on the Gallardo it was pretty bad. On a road like this, I think a Gallardo would be airborne half the time, but the ride on this thing it's great, and that's even in Corsa. If you knock it back to Sport or even Strada, and it's genuinely comfortable. It really is. It's a genuinely civilised car, the Huracan. You could use it every day, and that is exactly what Lamborghini wanted to build. And I think you'd have quite a ball in it most days, too. I mean, it does sound lovely. It really does. But it does also sound quite Audi rather than Lamborghini. That's because there's a lot of R8 beneath the skin of this car, both existing R8 and the next one in 2015. I'm sounding slightly unenthusiastic about the new Huracan, aren't I? I'm not. I think it's a really good car, big step forward in many, many ways beside the Gallardo. But I do think they might have been just a little bit overcautious with the electronics. They do intrude too much, I think. And I've tried turning everything off, and I don't know. I still think there's some stuff there to help you out. I'm sure the throttle is still being taken away from me on the exit of some corners, even though on the dashboard up there it says everything is switched off. That's the thing you never tire of, though. There you go, it's just taken the throttle away from me. It shouldn't be doing that. It should not be doing that. But hey, look, the Huracan looks, I think, drop dead gorgeous. It's really elegant and kind of simple in a way that too many Lamborghinis haven't been recently. It goes like you know what off a shovel. It stops beautifully. The steering is definitely better than before, in the way that there's just no corruption there, and you know, proper accuracy and precision to the front end. It understeers a bit too much, and I wish the electronics weren't so intrusive, but other than that, and you can understand entirely why Lamborghini have set the car up the way they have, I think the Huracan's a lovely, lovely car.